So do me a favor, start making some noise right now. As they enter the room, we have Erica Lindbeck, Kara Eberle, Lindsey Jones, and Keaton. Make some noise, everybody. Hold on, it wasn't loud enough. Make some noise, everybody. Do we need that theme music? Oh, we're gonna do it again. We're gonna wait, hold on, ready? Hi, everybody! Hi! Who's excited for this amazing voiceover panel? Well, let's bring out our guests. Here we go. Let's do this one more time. Ready? Erica Lindbeck! I promise you they're back there right now. Are they ready? Okay. So we're gonna, we're pausing for effect. This is fun. Is Erica Lindbeck's family here?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right, so we're holding. Oh, you guys are here? Oh, we got front row seats for you guys. VIP, come on down. You're the next contestant on VoiceOver 102. Give it up for Erica Lindbeck's family, you guys. Give it to her. Like, family is important. Come on down. All right, so you guys thinking of some good questions? Yes. You guys all want to be in the voice acting business? Yes? Everyone, who wants to be a voice actor? Raise your hand. Okay, you're definitely in the right place because they're going to have a lot of answers for you. And it's going to be a lot of fun. So just make sure you ask good questions. No requests, by the way. They'll be like, can I take a picture with you? Also, you can do that at their tables downstairs, of course. But ask questions about how to get into voice acting and how you can get into voice acting and stuff like that. Okay? All right, we're gonna do this again. Third time's the charm. Ready? Hi, everybody. Hi. My name's Elgin, and I'm here to introduce this amazing panel. Are you guys ready for the VoiceOver Panel 102? And now, without further ado, can we get like a drum roll, a lap drum? Give it up for Erica Lindbeck! Kara Eberle! Lindsey Jones! And Keaton.
I'll be out there with that mic.
What's up, guys? Welcome. Hey. I'm just destroying the table. Sorry. All right, so I'm gonna be out here in the crowd just stealing questions from the people, but welcome to Raleigh Supercon, you guys. Thanks so much for coming out. Thanks for having me. Absolutely. Obviously, all your fans are here in this room. Am I right, guys? So why don't we just take a moment just to talk about your experiences. I mean, this is the Voice Acting 102, so everyone here has a lot of questions about how to become a voice actor, how to get into voice acting. So maybe individually we can just introduce yourself, tell us what you do, and then how you got into voice acting. So we can begin here.
Cool. Hi guys, my name is Erica Lindbeck. I'm a voice actress based in Los Angeles, and some of my credits include Futaba Sakura and Persona 5, Maggie and Tales of Rosaria. I did the voice of Barbie for a while. I've done like stuff for League of Legends, and I'm voicing Chitara and Wile E. Kit in the Thundercats reboot, so I'm stoked about that. I got into voiceover. I did theater for a very long time, since, pretty much non-stop since I was maybe 12. Majored in theater at UCLA. I was always a really big fan of anime, animation, video games, that kind of thing. And when I was in my senior year at UCLA, I decided to try, in addition to pursuing, film and on camera and theater, I was also going to try to pursue voiceover, and I got really lucky, and it kind of stuck, and I've been doing it ever since. So, sweet. Hi, I'm
Eberle. I moved from YSHE and RWBY. And I have a little bit of a different story as far as voice acting goes. I started as the receptionist at Rooster Teeth back in 2010, 2011. And Wati Ohm, the creator of RWBY, kind of just stopped by my desk one day and said, I have an idea for a show. And started going off on this tangent. I said, wait, stop. You're in the middle of Red vs. Blue season 9. Shouldn't you finish that first? He goes, yes, but once I'm done with that, I can do this. And he said, I thought you'd be, great at voicing. And I said, really, I've never done voice acting before. He goes, I know, but, just give it a try. And, here I am, almost 7 years later, which is crazy and insane, but really grateful and appreciative for it. So it's great.
Hello, I am Lindsey Jones, and I also work at Rooster Teeth. Kind of the same as Erica. I've been a huge anime nerd since I was in 7th grade. Proud of it. I started working at Rooster Teeth around 2011 also. I started as an editor in the live action department, but I also loved acting and I let the company know about that. So when Monty created RWBY, he had me in mind for Ruby and Blake, 2 of our characters in RWBY, and I ended up auditioning for RWBY and got the part, and the rest is history.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Glass. Most of you guys know me from anime like Full Metal Alchemist or video games like Street Fighter and stuff like that. So similar to Erica, I grew up in the theater and was pursuing a degree in theater, which I do have, and in my senior year, I ended up on a tour of Funimation, which is in the same city where I went to college. And on that tour, I was kind of made to audition on the spot, and then 4 days later, I was working there, and 15 years later, it's my career. So go to school, kids.
My name is Josh Keaton, and you might know me as from Voltron, Legendary Defender, Spider-Man, from the Spectacular Spider-Man, Green Lantern, Hercules, some other stuff. But I'm a former child actor. I've been in the business since I was a little one. I was 4 years old, and I started out doing like commercials and on-camera stuff. And back then, they didn't really hire a lot of kids to play kids because they would hire adults to play kids. Now they're doing a lot more kids in actual person voiceover. But yeah, so I started out doing that, and it was mainly focused on camera until I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, and I got more and more voiceover roles, and just really fell in love with the people and the fact that I could play against type, and I haven't really looked back. Like I really enjoy what I'm doing. So that's where I'm at now.
It's awesome having you guys all here. And I'm just going to start with the first question. Can you differentiate voice acting versus voice over? Is there a difference?
I mean, it's interesting you say that. A lot of people do think there is a difference. Like, a fun question that we talked about before a lot as voice actors is people go, do you do any real acting? It's like, well, okay. For us, that is acting, and a lot of us, as we said before, we have theater backgrounds, and we've been trained in other forms of acting as well, same with on-camera work too. So for me, I feel like there really isn't a difference. I guess the only big difference that we have is like ADR, or I don't know what you would call it, like parlay acting, as opposed to doing dubbing, which is where they already have the animation, and you have to follow the mouth flaps, which this girl's really good at. But I think that's honestly the biggest difference in like voice acting as a whole.
I would say I agree with everything, but I guess if I had to find some kind of a difference, I would say I would kind of romanticize the voice acting and leave that more for like the storytelling stuff, and maybe, you know, say voiceover for the more technical stuff, like if you're doing commercials or narration or promo stuff, or stuff that doesn't really tell a story, it's just a voice over something. I'd say that, but yeah, I think voice acting is quickly becoming more of the catch-all, because it's been getting more respect as a profession. Because yeah, I would also run into a lot of people who would say, oh yeah, do you do any real acting? I'm like, no, I don't.
Making it.
Yeah,
totally
just make
fake
it. Just make it. Just go to a booth and talk.
Josh, it's just reading off of a piece of paper, I mean.
Yeah, right. How hard can that be? All right, we have our first question right over here. Hi, what's your question?
Hi,
this working?
Okay. When you start off voice acting, what is like the best way to take care of your voice? Because honestly, when I feel like when I'm like screaming or when I just shout with joy, I feel like it's like something's stuck in my throat. What's like the best way to get over that? Or like, I don't know if that makes sense.
It's interesting because we learn in school, in theater school, when you are actually excited about something, actually terrified by something, and you're like, what? I even took a class with freeing the natural voice. You could, okay, you might scream at a concert for hours and then you're gonna lose your voice, but otherwise, if you were just randomly excited and did a couple screams on the street, you would not lose your voice from that. So you kind of have to, it's more than I can just explain in a panel, but get a book, read about it. I'm all about education, you guys, okay? I was also a teacher, so, but otherwise, just general vocal health, it's a lot of common sense. So hydrate, and being hydrated is not just like drinking water while you're in the booth. Like hydration is a state of being. So you need to drink a lot of water all the time. I'm not saying like you can't, if you're of age, like go out to a bar and have alcohol or whatever, but it is terrible for your voice. So you just have to be responsible. Don't go to a loud bar where you're going to be shouting over people the night before a session. Like go to sleep, get rest. If you are going to be, like a lot of the time an actor will have a crazy shouty session and they need to know I can't really talk for the next couple of days because I've got some other high profile thing that I gotta be on top of my game. So it's really just using your brain to protect this thing. Yeah.
I would say also to add to that, because all of that is perfect, but stretch, like physically stretch. You'll end up carrying a lot of tension in your neck and your shoulders and your jaw just from stress, just you might have slept the wrong way. Or you might be like me and have torn something. I had surgery on my shoulder and I basically had a 220-degree tear. I tore like all the tendons in it. But I've been living with that since I was like maybe 20. Like I was a dumb kid. I ripped it working out and it stopped hurting after a few weeks. So I was like, oh, I'll probably be fine. Well, I wasn't, and I just had surgery on it now, like maybe 10 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago, and I'm doing a lot better. But one thing that I would notice is that when you tear something, your body tries to compensate for that. And it does that by engaging other muscles that should be engaged for that. So this was actually affecting this, because all of the tension that was trying to hold my arm in place was crossing over onto my neck, onto my shoulders, all of that. And that was actually affecting my voice. So absolutely make sure you stretch, make sure that you can do a lot of self-massage, make sure you're just not carrying tension in this area, because this is where you make your sound. And obviously your diaphragm and everything, but you need to make sure that you're not carrying tension, because it'll really affect you. And that might also be why you, it might just be bad vocal placement, you might be placing it in a place that's not really healthy for you. Or you might have some tension, so when you really try to push out some sound, this might start to close off. So yawning, it sounds weird, but yawning, like just forcing yourself to yawn will make you kind of stretch that soft power.
Now everybody yawns. You say the word, everybody does it.
But it's totally true, and adding on to the stretching itself, like vocal warm-ups are fantastic too. I would never go into the booth like dry or like unwarmed, as you say. I have some choir background, so I usually just borrow some of those, like the trills or things like just massaging your face out, really getting loose. And especially when I do characters like RWBY or Space Kid, I have to modify my voice. So sometimes instinctively you want to like close your throat up a little bit, especially when the character talks up like this. But it's not your throat, you're supporting it with your diaphragm, and it's all about training yourself to do that and doing it in a healthy manner so you can repeat it over and over again.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I've always abided by is trying to keep things out of my throat as much as I can, because that's where you'll do the damage. You either want to be above or below. Yeah.
All right. Here, our next question. Right over here.
Hey, who? Okay. What are each of your personal pet peeves for new voice actors? Like even if you logically know that they cannot cannot help not knowing it. The inside of you just cringes whenever it happens.
So everyone else on the panel is about to talk like crap about me and Kara. Here we go.
Put myself in that category as well.
I have a good one, actually.
I'm excited.
Great.
I understand that a lot of new voice actors will be excited that they got a part or that they, have something going, but you need to be quiet and keep your lips sealed until the project has aired. There's so many young voice actors, new voice actors that get excited about something and they'll blab it out and say, oh, I'm going to be this on this. And guess what? That was an announced character and you ruined the storyline. And now you're probably not going to work for that company ever again because you ruined the storyline, and that costs a lot of people a lot of money, and it ruins the whole, publicity thing that they're going to do. We actually had that happen in Voltron, where like something got leaked and it spoiled like 3 seasons worth of storylines, and it was not. Yes. You got to keep your mouth shut if you get a job, and it doesn't matter how excited you are about it. We'll have plenty of time to talk about it, but that's one of the big mistakes I see a lot of rookie voice actors make, and it can kind of end your career. I mean, there's a lot of money behind a lot of productions, and if you blab something out that you shouldn't, then you're probably not going to work that company.
You become a liability.
Yes, absolutely.
Everyone's replaceable. It's the first thing you learn in this industry.
I think from being new to voice acting when I first started, at least, doing, just simple things of, yelling. Not to try to imitate a yell, but you actually are yelling. We're voice acting, but we're acting behind the mic. It's not, just something that, yell, hey! And you're, ah! There's a big difference, obviously, in just hearing that. So that's something that I learned, that you really, it's not just the emotion behind it, but really acting, really trying to break that out through the tone, just actually being real about it. So.
I've worked directing a few shows with Rooster Teeth too, like X-Ray and Bev. Thank you for those of you who watched. The biggest thing that I found too with working with so many people, and I was a little bit guilty of this too, is like being able to take direction from your director. They want to help you. They're not there to just say, okay, you got the part, now do your thing. It's like you guys work together. It's a symbiotic relationship. So we have had a few actors that are like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Thank you very much. And it really just puts a damper on the whole thing. And I feel like you're doing a disservice to yourself and not allowing yourself to learn new techniques and procedures that you might not be familiar with.
Sorry, the director of me is cringing. I would never hire those people. Like, tell me who they are so I don't hire them. I'll text you later. Because I direct all the time, it's kind of hard for me to answer that question because you might be like, oh, is she talking about so-and-so in this show or blah, blah, blah. But a similar type of pet peeve is when, it might not be a newer voice actor at all, it could just be any actor new to a project that I'm working on. I really don't like actors who are apologetic in the booth. Like, it's normal. You could have anybody. Josh Keaton could come in, but we've never worked together, okay? And so he does something, and he's great, but what he did is not what I need. So if I'm like, okay, cool, can you do this, this, and this? And he would just, sorry. It's like, that wastes my time, and then it starts to make me think that you as an actor don't believe in yourself. You don't believe you deserve to be there, and that's also an insult to me, because it's like you're saying to me, why did you cast me? And so like that, you're just gonna bring the room down. If you got the part, you deserve the part, show up, and let's do the work.
All right, we got another question right over here. I just wanted to ask, first and foremost, thank you so much for your work.
Thank you.
It's
For
really
coming.
inspiring. I want to ask, what should you include in your voice demo? Like in terms of what are the essential things that should be in a voice demo?
Eric, go.
It's changed over the years, but for me, what I did when I first cut my demos, if you were looking for an agent, you first want to cut a commercial demo because that's going to be generally the most lucrative thing that an agent's going to look for and sign you for. I have a commercial and animation and an interactive demo, which was for video games, but I made that 2 years after I made my first 2 demos. And so both of my demos, I believe my commercial is like 1:09. I think it's got 8 spots on it. It's not super fun to make. Commercials are, they're commercials. But you're basically just trying to show what you can do, who can you be, that's castable in that amount of time. Nobody's gonna listen to your commercial reel for more than a minute. Honestly, it's probably gonna be over in about 30 seconds, if that. Animation reel, I think my reel is like a minute, maybe 15. I think I have 9 different characters on it. Notice I say characters, not voices. It's very important to have characters, like full-on characterizations. You want the commercial reel to sound like that those commercials have been written, like literally, like, oh, these are just commercials that this person has done. You want them to be that well produced, that well written. And for the animation reel, even if you haven't done anything, make those things sound like they came from a show. You want whoever's listening to it to go, oh, this person's worked before. Where are these from? I need to see where these are from. Yeah, you don't want to rip copy directly from anything that's currently airing or that you've been auditioning for. Yeah, don't make a 3-minute reel. Nobody's gonna listen to your 3-minute reel. Nobody has time for that. Yes.
I don't have a commercial reel yet. I only have a narrative reel. But going off of that, totally right. They're only going to listen to the first couple of things. So I've been told that it's a great idea to show your range within the first 3 characters that you choose. So again, for my demo reel, I do RWBY, Space Kid, and Kimball, and they're all very, very different, but you get a feel for what my range is as a voice actor. A great other lesson that I learned, and I would recommend you watch this too, is a 3-part series that's on YouTube that is produced by Yuri Lowenthal, who's the voice of Sasuke in Naruto and a million other things. He's awesome. But he goes over kind of a lot of basic steps to allow you to get into voice acting, creating a demo reel, and just some exercises you can do to find characters that you might have not thought that you could do before.
And I'd say one faux pas that a lot of people make that are going to do it early on is putting impressions of existing characters on it. Don't do that. Because you're doing yourself a disservice, because the minute that you do an existing character, you will be immediately compared to the original character. And you probably don't do it as well. And they already hire that person. So definitely don't put existing stuff. Change it up. If you like a character that exists, find some way to make it different and its own thing. That way, they're your characters.
Unless you're a hitman and you can murder all those people.
Way to bring the room down, Erica.
Sorry.
My only talent.
All right, we have another question right over here.
Where are you? Oh, hi. Okay.
First of all, I love you all so much. I'm sure you're going to hear that a lot today. I guess my question is mainly for Lindsey and Kara. I love you both so much. And I've been a fan of Rooster Teeth for about 12 years now.
Dang, you've been a fan longer than we've been working there, so thanks, man.
You win.
And I was just wondering what the experience is like working at Rooster Teeth, how being a part of the project is like.
It's horrible, you know.
It's horrible.
They don't feed us.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's like, you're working, with your, not like a lot of your best friends, but your family. So you do have to have, that separation though as well. Then realize that you are doing, a job. But as far as actually, working there, any place that you work, if you have friends and family that you are companions with, it's a great place to work in a great working environment. Everybody's very supportive of each other. I think that it comes in, I'd say handier is great. It's great when you're actually in the booth, though, because your friends are talking to you. So for me, I felt a lot more comfortable starting voice acting when, I knew the person that was directing me versus, going in completely new, not knowing who they are. You're kind of like already nervous, and oh, what's this person doing? But, if you can just be yourself, that works out a lot better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The casual nature of Rooster Teeth is wonderful for the creative process, especially again going into voice acting for the first time. That was our first gigs as voice actors, and they were very welcoming, and they were able to work with us again because we were playing off of our friends or people that we've been working with for years. Also, we have the luxury of being able to ad-lib a lot more and play around with lines. Some companies, time is money, so they don't want to mess around with that. But because of that, we've had plenty of ad-libs make it into RWBY proper, and we kind of are allowed to make the characters a bit more of our own.
Back there. I know we're now. It's running. It's our security blanket. I don't think we knew that we were going to end the questions.
You should be on the panel. What?
Hi.
Hello.
It's so amazing to meet all of you. I just was wondering, do you have any advice for upcoming creators who are trying to get their own characters and stories out there?
Director,
yeah. What? No, I direct other people's things, so I'm not the person to ask, actually.
I mean, YouTube is great. You can make a lot of your own content on that and put it out there and see what people like. I know a lot of people who have made a career from starting out on YouTube and putting stuff on and growing a following, and now they're doing pro voiceover and all. So there's always an avenue for it, and especially, and I assume since you're talking about creators, that you're talking more about writing and all that stuff. Yeah, absolutely. You can make your own content, and I mean, there's not as much of a barrier of entry anymore in terms of having to know somebody at a network or be able to make a pitch somewhere. Like you can literally just get some friends together that can fill in the other parts of the process that you might not be as skilled in, and bring what you are skilled in, and kind of put everything together and put it up on YouTube. Like that's anybody can do that. All right, we have another question right over here.
Hi, first of all, love you all, and I wanted to know, how do you guys get into character before you start working?
I have a few different ways, and every actor you talk to has a bit of a different method too, so don't take this as like word of law. This is just what I do. I always like to find a character's theme song first, because I love music a lot, and I think it just kind of gets me in the right headspace. Yeah, so for RWBY and like happier scenes, I listen to a lot of like happy anime theme songs, like the Lucky Star theme song or the Panty Stocking theme song. So, but along with that, like I said, a vocal warm-ups definitely help me out too. And usually, if you do a character enough, there's certain phrases that you repeat, or even a simple one word. But if you say that enough, that also gets me into the mindset that I need to be in, and trains my voice again to go, hey, this is the character you're doing now. I also find that physicality is definitely part of the performance. Even though you're just voice acting, you're still emoting, whether it be with your hands or the rest of your body. So same thing with RWBY, she's more of an innocent character, so I take my shoes off in the booth, because that's what kids do, and I just kind of allow myself to, yeah, Weiss wears heels, so that's excellent. But things like that, just kind of knowing what kind of physicality will get you into the character too. Same with Red vs. Blue, when I'm playing Kimball, I get a little bit more like militaristic, and sometimes I'll put my hand to my head like I'm doing like incom and relaying to my teammates, yeah, but it helps.
It's a little bit different, I think, for anime. I'll get in a booth, and all I really need is to see my character. I have the advantage of seeing everything I need. As Lindsey mentioned, we can have what's called a reference line. Usually, the engineer keeps it around for you so you can listen to it. They can play it like, right before you start speaking your first thing, so you're in the right frame of mind. Because at Funimation in particular, you can be called in and you're gonna see like 5 directors that day and go from booth to booth to booth, playing all kinds of different people. And I've had it before where an actor came from somewhere else, and even though they're coming to me to play a character they've played, I don't know, for years, or they're the lead, but they can't seem to get out of the voice they were just in 10 minutes ago. So that reference line is really important, and but for me personally, it's all about just focusing on what is Winry doing right now, what's Haruhi doing, or whoever the heck I'm playing that day. So.
All right, so we have another question right over here.
Well, first off, I love you both, Kara and Lindsey. But this question is mainly for Lindsey. How do you feel about doing multiple different characters for the same like animation company?
It's awesome, man. I never thought I would get to do this. I've talked about it before. I used to go to conventions all the time. I'm from Dallas, and I grew up about 15 minutes away from Funimation. So I would go to conventions and meet people like Caitlin and like Chris Sabat, and who plays Vegeta and a million other things. So to be able to voice act, period, and now voice act with a lot of those people that I look up to, and now have people come to conventions to meet me, it's a literal dream come true. So thank you very much.
Here we go, our next question. Hi guys.
Hello. I was just wondering, for beginners, people specifically trying to get into the anime voice acting industry, it was in the last panel for this one, the Voice Acting 101, they mentioned that No Name should move down to a voice acting hub, like somewhere down in Texas, to help get started. But I was wondering, like, what steps should you take to kind of get to that point where you could actually get hired or something like an anime, like playing a character?
I am not an idealist. I am a realist. While I am all about pursuing your dreams, and I think everyone at this table is here because we've done that, I work for Funimation as a director on the regular. And I can tell you, while there is so much more dubbed anime coming out of Funimation in particular right now, it is not any easier for new actors to get discovered or to get work. It's not easy for established actors to show up in the area and start working for us. So I'm not telling you not to try. I'm just letting you know essentially what you're up against. We put out 18 episodes of anime weekly. So that means we are just constantly going. And you go, well, so that means there's like lots of work. But what there isn't is time for directors to hear new talent. Like I don't know how many demo submissions in my email daily. I don't even have time to listen to them. So if you want to move to Texas, do it. It's a great place to live. It's not expensive. Yeah, you can. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Be in Dallas, 3 hours away is Austin, a couple hours south of that is Houston. We got things, okay? But don't come and expect, that even if you did get some lead at Funimation, that now you're set and that you can make a living in anime. Because you cannot. You can't, guys. I'm like not trying to be a heartbreaker. All right, I make a living at it, but I direct 40 hours a week. And if I wasn't, I would not be just anime voice acting and paying the bills. I would be doing other voiceover, doing video games, coming out to LA sometimes to do things, just acting any way that I can. So make sure that a life of an actor is what you want, okay? And then decide where in the country do I want to live to go and do that. And if you want the opportunity to do anime, then sure, it would make sense to be in Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, or Austin, or in Los Angeles. They do anime there. So yeah, just letting you know. As far as the other part of your question, if I was there, how do I start getting in, getting heard? Have a demo, get an agent. Your agent will submit that demo to Funimation. I pay more attention to demos that come through an agency than demos that come through solo actors submitting to like the email that we have. That's just me personally. So,
just hopping off of that too, going on about how voice acting.
Sorry.
It's true, and I think that's a very important lesson too. But jumping off of that, where you said, voice acting is not technically my main job, I think there's a lot of misconception about Rooster Teeth, especially. People say like, oh, well, you just get to act all day. It's like, no, that's not my main job. RWBY and Space Camp 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 and Red vs. Blue is not my main job. My main job is working in Achievement Hunter, our video gaming department. And again, I started off as an editor, and we wear many, many different hats. Same with Kara. Her main job is in voice acting as well. You do mostly producing, yeah?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Full-time, 9 to 5, executive. Sorry, that just scared me. I was like, what was that?
Kara's kicking HDMIs.
Yeah. No, I think that absolutely. I mean, I have a full-time job too, and then I also do voice acting. So there's also, be prepared to, not purely be just a voice actor, and that's almost the same for any job in general. You have to be open to other opportunities that might come out of even, working someplace else. So you never really know where a job could be.
All right, we have our next question right over here. Hey, everyone.
Oh, okay.
I like popping up and you never know where I'm at. All right, hi.
I was wondering if you guys pick up your characters' mannerisms or start to get into like their voice and everyday life, and at home you start to sound like them, like, oh my gosh, I'm sounding like them. And then like, oh, this is good line, this is good idea, and then go to the people like, hey, this is the script.
I mean, I talked like Barbie for a year straight after no, I'm just kidding. I'm not, no. I will say no to that. Yeah, no.
Sometimes I do, yeah.
And we're like, sometimes we have little moments where, or at least Lindsey and I will be, somewhere talking, and I'll say something, and Lindsey will be like, that was such a wise thing to say. And I'm like, gosh, that really was a wise thing to say. But, so sometimes, still like snarky comments or something of the character, that you do have in common with, personality-wise. As far as actually, like, you know, being, I don't know what to say, but like, if you're in a situation and things happen, then it's easy to pick up something and everybody can compare a character to anything, right? So more like, I want to say probably more like RWBY in real life than I am
It's true.
in real life. So I mean.
I find myself, yeah, I'll fall into the character voice sometimes, but that's just because, like, I don't know, I'll be talking to like a cute little lamb or a baby, and I'll be like, oh, that little thing, and I'm like, okay, well, I just became RWBY. Cool, awesome. But we also have kind of a unique position where the characters in RWBY were slightly inspired by us once we got the parts. So I will never forget the guy who created RWBY, Monty Ohm. He came up to me, and when he asked me to audition for RWBY, he goes, "You're pretty socially awkward." And I was like, "Thanks, buddy. You know me."
That's what you got. I always imagined you as like a princess.
Oh, well, all right.
I'd say my space dad voice comes out with my kids because I mean it's usually when I have to like get them to do something or like when I need them to pay attention, like the authoritarianism. Yeah, it's but yeah, something.
I'm right here. To the left, to the left. Oh, hey, you have questions?
So, my question is basically going off what you said about using your space dad voice for your inspiration there for sure. Have you guys ever used anything else for inspiration inside the booth from family members, children, or significant others? And if so, do you remember like a specific scene you used it for?
I mean, yeah, that's really your life experiences are where you're really going to find a lot of your characters. I mean, everybody's got like some uncle that's got some, I don't know, weird outlook, and you know you can kind of make that into a character, or the annoying sibling or whatever. Like everybody's pulls from their real life, absolutely. As far as specifics, I don't know, because like for me anyway, like it's never just too much from one person, because I don't want to like do a part and then like have somebody that I know call me up and say, "Hey, dude, are you doing me?" I don't want them to do that. So like I'll try to mix different personality aspects and things from different people.
Yeah, I don't think that I took anything from any family members, but definitely voices are developed, like Josh said, from just your life experiences. So Haruhi, for example, from Oron, was my first time to play this sort of ambiguous, androgynous type character. And I had never done many male voices, and if I did play a young boy, it was usually a lot smaller, a little tiny kid, and he kind of has that more Dragon Ball Scrappy type thing. Haruhi is not that. So I had to think about, okay, so she's about 14, and so I remembered all of my guy friends. I'm a lot like Haruhi in that most of my friends are guys, and in junior high school and high school that was true as well. And I grew up in Southern California, so that's why sometimes when you're listening to Haruhi, if you sense a little like surfer or skater guy, that those were all of my friends, so yeah.
I've recently been booking a lot of Southern characters. The reason being because I'm originally from North Carolina. I lived there for 18 years. I went to Arundel Parent Academy for high school. So yeah, but the North Carolina is usually what I audition with, you know. I sort of like, I grew up with people that, you know, kind of talk like this, and yeah, it's a southern accent. So yeah, that's, I take a lot from all of you.
All right, my next question is right here.
Okay, so this is for Lindsey and Kara. Okay, so was it hard to find the right voice for your character, like Weiss and RWBY?
Yes, I thought so. I mean, for anyone who's watched RWBY, you can clearly hear at the beginning of Volume 1, her voice is a little bit deeper than we ended up settling on. And really that was, like, for lack of a better term, we didn't know how innocent we wanted her voice to sound in general, because she is a little bit of a younger character and she's very naive. But once we found the pitch, I think it works, so.
I mean, I think at least, you know, for Weiss, I as a character, I knew that she'd been through, you know, there's much more there's a larger backstory for her, and I knew that she grew up in a prominent family. However, I also knew that she didn't really know how to socialize that well, so she didn't want to be, she's sassy, but it comes from not a sense of her feeling above everybody else. It's why isn't everybody else like me? So it was kind of something that came from that. So it was a hard. It took me quite a long time actually to kind of settle on the character's voice without sounding too kind of like mean girl, like valley girl, like no, oh my gosh, you know, nobody really likes that. That's not really that genuine. So I think that it definitely takes a while to find something that's genuine, especially with a new character.
I know you have a few mannerisms too, as far as like some mannerisms also with the voice acting is a little bit hard to find. Like for me, I find it very difficult to find how a character would laugh or cry. And once I get that, I'm like, yes, okay, I've locked it in. Same thing with like just small little things like RWBY does. Like a lot of the times she'll stammer and be like, oh, I'm sorry, oh, okay. Like that really gets me into it too. Same with Weiss. I know yours is usually like, how dare you?
Yeah, what are you doing? It's always like the first line that Weiss ever said. That's what put me in character and trying to put that.
All right, we got a nice question right here.
Lindsey, can you tell the guys to stop making fun of audio listeners on the Off Topic podcast, please?
Never.
Hey, I was wondering how long each of your like recording sessions usually took. If it varied like between companies, or like how long you were actually recording for in a given day?
It totally varies depending on what kind of project it is. Like there are these things called promos where when you're watching TV and they say, oh, come on the next blah, 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 blah. And those sessions, you can do those in like 10, 15 minutes depending on how much stuff you actually have to read. Video game sessions, a lot of the times will take the whole time. So those can be a really stressful session, like 2 hours of streaming, or if it's not super stressful, 4 hours of talking. Animation sessions usually go pretty quick. I mean, they book 4 hours, but we never really take 4 hours. Everybody kind of, once everybody gets into the groove, it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And then you have things like audiobooks, where you're talking for 4 days, 8 hours a day. And yeah, it depends on the project.
And our next question is right over here. Hi.
Hi. You're all awesome. I'm glad I'm right here. I wanted to ask, you guys were talking about having like another job besides voice acting, and I wanted to be animated. I wanted to ask how you balance doing both voice acting and your normal jobs, like either Rooster Teeth or wherever you go.
I don't manage Achievement Hunter anymore. Yeah, I'm out. No, I'm just kidding. I love them all, they're great. But that was honestly the most difficult thing for me, was moving from voice acting, which again, you're very like expressive, you're trying to allow yourself to break past your boundaries and remove societal norms, and getting into the headspace of the character and then back into like manager mode was really difficult to try and navigate. So again, honestly, those warm-ups really help, and same thing with listening to music. That just allows me, if I just can have 2 minutes to listen to a song, I can go, okay, all right, now I'm in this version of Lindsey, good.
Yeah, I think backing off that too, I mean, it's one of the things, I always book all of I try to do, or at least all my sessions or anything voice acting related after my normal job and after work. That way I can be in that headspace and I have that time to transition mentally. I don't know how easy it would be. I don't think it would be very easy. I've never actually gone straight from my full 9 to 5 and back to 9 to 5. But I could imagine it would be a little bit difficult to do, to get actually in that headspace, because you're creative in the booth, but then you got to go back to being very realistic and logical and responsible, and it's being an adult. So it's all part of the process.
I think for the three of us here, it's interesting because we have full-time jobs and voice act on top of that. Like my full-time job is a director, and then I get to voice act usually in the PM hours, or I'll just shift my schedule so I can be at some other studio from 10 to 2 or something, but that means that I'm going to be still putting in 8 hours of Funimation that day from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. instead. But a lot of other voice actors, let's say, we'll talk about Texas, because I know in Los Angeles there's so much going on. If they're not acting, they're auditioning, and I'll let Josh and Erica talk about that. But
for like a lot of our voice actors, they have some other kind of job, but not necessarily a full-time job that's 40 hours a week. So if you're there and you're fresh out of college or something like that, and maybe you've got a part-time gig, and you just have to give the talent coordinator your schedule and try to let your job know, hey, I'm gonna need maybe like Tuesdays and Thursdays always free. And that usually works out just fine. A lot of our talent with part-time gigs do it that way. They just let us know, these are my free days that I can come in, and someone's in charge of figuring that out, and I'm glad that someone is not me.
All right, our next question is right over here.
Sorry. Hi, I just was wondering if you could tell us what was your favorite scene or character to act, and which scene and or character frustrated you the most?
Favorite and most frustrating.
Weiss frustrates me the most, thank you.
Of our own, you mean of our own? Of your own. Oh,
Yeah,
of our own characters. Okay, I'm just being a jerk. Okay.
I guess just starting off, when I first got into RWBY, I think one of my most memorable scenes as far as recording goes, and really like the moment for me that said, oh my gosh, like I'm in this show, this is awesome, was Volume 1, Episode 8, which is when they're fighting in the forest together and RWBY takes on Nevermore by herself. And so for you guys who've seen the scene, she runs up the side of the cliff and does this awesome, totally cool action move, and then yeah, oh, thank you very much, teammate. Yes, but then there's just like this epic moment where there's like no sound, and she's sitting there like a total badass. And that was the moment for me where I thought, oh, this show could really, really go somewhere, and it's awesome that I'm a part of it. But I will also remember it because in the building that we were at the time when we were recording, I was recording that right next to like the admin section. So it's all these people who are like, need absolute silence. We're emailing like crazy. Everything is like deadline, stress all over the place. So they're like, hey, in this scene, she's running up a cliff for like, I don't know, 5 to 7 seconds. Can you just like scream? We need you to yell for like 20 seconds straight. We'll cut it, no problem. I'm like, okay. So again, yeah, everyone's sitting there quietly typing away. In another room, you hear like,
I was literally underneath, like I was upstairs, right? So I was like, hers gonna make a thing.
yeah. Even funnier, the booth was right next to the bathroom, so then everyone, of course, joked like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
I'm apologizing.
But yes, that was awesome. As far as character that frustrates me, I don't think there is one. I love every character that I play for different reasons. They're like my children.
All right, we are here in the back. Hello.
Hi. Okay. Cool. Right. So for Josh Keaton.
Yes.
Hi. So question. How many times have you had to say the words, let's form Voltron, and do you ever get tired of it?
How could I ever get tired of saying form Voltron? I could never get tired of saying it. I've had to say it a bunch of times, but I love it every time. It's like a childhood dream.
Here's our next question right here.
First of all, I just love all of you so much. And I was wondering how any tips you give to doing like action noises, like maybe like grunts or maybe noises when someone embarrassed or things like that.
Wear loose clothes, no jewelry, nothing that makes any kind of jangling or moving noise. And basically there's one thing you have to do. You kind of have to have your head and your body in a different, like, it's the same axis, but like they have to move independently of each other. So, because you always have to stay on mic, because if you turn your head, nobody can hear you. And it's the same way with the mics that we record on. So you always have to stay here. But I mean, if you need to you need to physicalize it. Obviously don't go full out, but if I have to throw a punch, you kind of mimic it. You go with your body, you move with your body while you're still keeping your head this way. If you're getting hit, you need to you kind of need to do an abbreviated version of what that action would be. Because if you're getting punched in the stomach, you're gonna double over, and that compression is going to affect how the sound comes out. And if you're standing straight, it's going to not sound as compressed and all of that. Just a lot of things like that. Or if you're running, you actually kind of have to run in place, because all that stuff is going to make it sound like you're actually doing it. I'm not really running, but if they put that with a running character, it's gonna sound like I'm jogging. So that kind of stuff. You just an abbreviated action that is not really going to, that the microphone's not going to pick up what you're doing, and it's only going to pick up what's coming out here. But yeah, that's pretty much.
Also, with some of when I first started out, I did a lot of battle chatter for multiple calls of duty, I guess you'd say. And nowadays, what they're doing is they're having you wear a little head thingy with two microphones, so that you can actually move off access, because they want the most physically intensive movement that you can do, which I appreciate as a theater actor. I gotta say, I almost took out a couple Neumanns when I first started, because I always do the actual. You do the actual thing while trying to do the least amount of damage to the equipment. Really is honestly where I'm at with it. Yeah.
The headset mics really help a lot.
It's also a good idea before you ever get booked for a session like that, if you've never thrown a punch or kicked something or tried to swing a sword or something like that, go somewhere where you can try that out. Go to a gym, find a friend with a punching bag, see just how much physicality it takes. And in anime, we make a lot of noises that you don't normally make in real life. Anime characters, when I explain a scene to an actor to break it down for them real fast, I'm like, okay, so they're talking about this, and then this guy says that, and then she tells him this, and you're gonna breathe about it. That's usually what I tell them. And they go, okay. And on the script, it'll tell them what the mouth shape is for that little breath that they're going to make. So a lot of reactions in anime, essentially it's a kind of a grunt of some kind, or just a pushing out of air. It's like out in, out in. Yep. You have to know how to do it with percussion, that sound, or no percussion, and through your teeth, all that kind of stuff. So it's good to just run through all of those sounds, make sure you know how to do them.
It's generally called the tofu of anime voice acting, because you can do anything with it. You can be scared, you can love someone, you can, literally anything with that noise. You gotta make it whatever flavor it, however they want it. That is amazing.
Building off of that too, how do I top that? It is rare, but there are a few times where directors will work with you on some efforts, especially if you need a little bit more motivation. Like we have the luxury in RWBY where for the first times that we were doing some efforts, I know Erin, who plays Blake, she was having a little bit of difficulty really getting the sound that they wanted. So the director came in the booth with her and stood, enough distance away to not hurt her, but he would throw punches at her, and instinctively she would react, and we would get the sound. And then she goes, okay, now you know what the muscle movement feels like. Let's try and replicate that without me in front of you. And she was able to get that. I would also say, don't be afraid to use reference from other movies sometimes, just to try it out. Not that anything you have to stick with, but a perfect example is for Blaze Blue Cross Tag Battle. That was the first time I did any video game voice acting. So for one part, they're like, hey, Ruby's getting electrocuted. Can you just go? And I was like, okay, I'll try it. And the only thing I could think of was the scene in Jurassic Park when Dr. Grant pretends to be electrocuted by the fence. So I just stood in the booth and pretended to grab a fence, and I went, and it worked. So
that too. They were like, all right, you're electrocuted. We have a stick here. Go and just do this and try to, I'm like, what? But then it works.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, well, unfortunately, everyone, we are out of time. But thank you all so very much. It was informative. I hope you all learned something.